Hey, welcome back to Fake Deep Thinking. We're almost starting on time for once. Woo! Let's introduce the
Yeah,
crew. We got
getting there.
John, Doc,
Yo.
Ian, the figurative back,
Hello.
and myself, Eugene. Sorry, last week. John had a busy work day. What time? We were going to get home till like what 10:30, and we were like, nah, we'll just take a break. It's all good. We don't need to.
Have him rushing home, being in
Yeah.
danger in the traffic and all that. Nah.
Well, Atlanta traffic that late probably would have been fine, but it was more like exhausted. Like, let's just let John rest because he would have been extra ornery.
Well, we getting to work at 6:30, 7 o'clock on, so you can leave like 11.
That's crazy. That's ridiculous. Hopefully, you're getting paid overtime because if not, that's ridiculous.
Ended up for 77 hours.
Yikes. That's
For real.
a real
Big,
shift.
that's a big yikes.
Like a Hebrew.
Wow. All right. The topics we got for you today is if y'all haven't heard about the Nintendo assaults of the autistic kid who assaulted his teacher for taking his Nintendo. Apparently, the mom finally speaks out asking for some level of like forgiveness or mercy. So we're gonna watch that and we're gonna have a discussion whether or not like there is forgiveness or mercy here, somewhere around there. And then if y'all haven't heard about it, the Kansas City Chiefs fan who apparently wore blackface and the Deadspin reporter who decided to report on it. We're going to react to that. So let's first start with the Nintendo issue. So the first video, Ian, is going to be the minute-long video from US Today. We're just going to watch real quick what happened. So I do not think it violates YouTube's terms of service, mainly because I got this video off of YouTube. So warning, graphic. I mean, it's not that graphic, but I gotta check, dot my I's, check my boxes. Warning, graphic footage, viewers discretion advised. Play when you got it, Ian.
Is it like I'll just see. I was like, how graphic is graphic? Like it's a kid, like, but
You'll see.
okay, that's foreboding. Oh, I saw. I feel like
Ian,
I saw
mute the
this.
music, mute the video, mute the video, mute the video.
I've seen this. It's an old video. I've seen it.
Yeah, I definitely saw this one.
I think it's going to be a black kid, right?
Yeah, it's a black kid.
And he like lays her out with like a punch. Yeah, I've seen it.
What's kind of upsetting to me is how they really struggle to separate him from the woman. Like they just let him chill there, kicking her consistently before they finally like got him away from her.
Yeah, there's a pretty slow reaction to the situation.
Incredibly slow reaction, in my opinion. I agree with that.
No. They're waiting for a man to come
I couldn't
touch
hear
him.
you. I couldn't hear
They're
you at
waiting
all.
for a man to come touch him.
That's
All
fair.
the women looked at and they got close and they was like, he might try. If he fuck that girl, he gonna do it.
I don't know because if you rewind it back to like around the 13-second mark, Ian, the first guy that comes into view around the corner, look how he just
Oh, sure.
walks. Like he's walking the whole time. Look, he's walking. Look at him. Walking. He has yet to put a pep in his step. It's the woman that comes running with the red hair.
But
Like,
she did nothing.
I mean, we couldn't tell if she came around the corner like he did. So I'll give the credit to the woman in this situation. She actually put some pep in the step. Whereas the clear guy in the situation is just like, oh, I'll get there. I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, he does take a good while. And he even like puts his like drink down on the table and then and he's like, all right, come on, man, come on. He's
I still
definitely too
call
slow,
Cap.
relax about it.
I just rewinded it. The guy even got put all that running that girl did. She didn't even touch the boy for real. The guy grabbed him and then she touched him. So she was in a rush. He still was first to the scene. I'm telling you, there was a woman there that got there first. Put her hand on his shoulder. Let's talk about the first lady. She put her hand on him. Said, "Hey, stop. You
I,
mind?"
honestly, that's very valid. Most of them are like they put on like, hey, stop, 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 while he's still feet from her, and then he goes right back into it. It's like, no, the kid is seeing red. Not even have to be a kid. If anybody is seeing red, which he clearly is, you need to separate them You need to get them in some kind of hold, be it a chokehold, an arm hold, like something. Let them know that you're done, like you are done. And so that's that video. We don't need to react to that. Like
Oh.
John and Doc portrayed, this is an old video. The reason why I'm bringing it back is because the mother is now speaking out and she's asking for forgiveness or mercy. I forgot. We'll watch the video and we'll see. We'll analyze that and we'll get y'all's opinion. So pull up the the News Nation video, Ian, and let's react to this and get our opinion on this. We might not watch the full.
As a mom,
Even after they pulled him
I'm
off,
just
he
sort
was
of
like
curious
kicking
how
at
you're
her, and then he got
processing
loose and got
all
on her
of
one
what's
leg.
happened.
Yeah, go for it, Ian.
It's devastating that my heart is breaking. I'm terrified for my child. I, I feel like if he gets sentenced to prison, it's a death sentence for him. He's scared. And to have your child call and cry
Mom,
and say, I don't want to die, it's awful.
So can I ask, was his autism, was that ever brought in the litigation of his case and in the plea deal, especially as pertains to the sentencing? Because 30 years in adult prison is a very long time, especially for a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah. He was direct filed. Originally, but he was charged as a juvenile, and 2 days later, he was direct filed. And no, that was not considered. In Florida, my understanding is that a charge of autism, autism is not a defense, and that it can't even be considered until the sentencing phase.
There are a few things I think that the audience should know about your son. Autism isn't the only disability that he's living with. There's a host of special needs that your son was coping with, and that the school was supposed to be accommodating for. Let me just go over some of it. There's, of course, the severe autism, and then there's ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, something called oppositional defiance disorder, which is, as it sounds, it makes a child extremely defiant and oppositional to even getting breakfast can be a battle. Reactive explosive disorder, that's another condition that your son is coping with. With all of that list, why did the school even allow a Nintendo Switch to be part of any aspect of his day?
That's something I ask every day, and I don't understand why. That in his IEP, it was stated that in the intensive behavior group home that he was living in, if they ever had to remove it as a consequence, they called in the crisis team. And the original IEP called for a token economy for so he could, to motivate him to do his work. He could earn tokens to then go to like a snack closet. This year, he had a new teacher who, it's not Joan. Joan was not his teacher. She's the para. He had a new teacher who, it was her first year teaching, and I don't know if she didn't understand the IEP, if she didn't read it, but she approached the group home and asked the group home to send it in.
Listen, for anybody who watches that video, it's hard for them to get past it, and I can understand they'd be devastated for Joan Nadich, the victim in this attack, and I can imagine you feel devastated for her as well. You wouldn't have wanted this to happen. You're obviously torn between the suffering that she's going through, and then of course the son that you love. It's just odd that he was in this kind of public schooling to begin with. Do you know why this was the situation, why he was actually even in a typical school like this, if he had this list of conditions he was coping with?
When he originally was in an autism behavioral hospital back before COVID hit, right before COVID hit, and we went through a process to where we were not able to reunify with him and bring him back home because of the limitations of seeing him in that year due to COVID. And so he was placed in an intensive behavioral group home, and I questioned it at the beginning. I had always homeschooled him because he didn't handle the school environment. I asked the group home, did he have to go to public school? Could he not do school online? And I was assured by them that all of their clients went to public school. So even though he was a level 6 and I never thought he belonged in public school, I didn't have a choice.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation.
Thank you, Ian. So I guess the first question with that information we got from this video, do you think he should receive, I guess, lighter sentencing or some leniency when it comes to his sentencing because of his, I'm honestly not even sure what that means. I'm looking up real quick, but his level 6 autism and his ADHD and other stuff, do you think he should receive some kind of leniency?
I honestly don't know. I think it really depends, like, on whatever the paperwork or whatever. Like, if she has this paperwork, like she's saying, like there's a paper trail of all this stuff, and somewhere along the lines they forced her to do it, then she has a little bit of an argument. But I don't know. Like, to me, because when she was also stating the ailments, I felt like she was just describing what happened in the video and then adding disorder to it.
I felt the same way, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I felt the same way.
And I was like, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird.
Rebellion, compliance disorder, and angry outburst disorder. Like, what? He got tall black disorder too. Like, just looking at the shit in the video and saying, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
but
like separation switch anxiety disorder. I'm like, what? Like, I don't know, dude. That to me, it was so wonky because at first I was like, that's bullshit. Like, I don't know if those disorders really exist or not. I mean, maybe they do, and I'm completely just ignorant to them and the ailments and the people that are suffering from them. But like that, to me, I was like, well, nah, that's bullshit. But then it got towards where she was talking about like her paper trail that she says exists, and I was like, if there's a paper trail and somebody at the school didn't pay attention to it, then that's a whole other argument.
And then, to your point, like if your question is should he get 30 years, the answer to me is no.
Yeah, 30 years is a bit much.
I think I guess 30 years relates to the jail time. So I guess that's the next question. And like, should he see jail time or like what should the punishment be? Should it be so he should go to jail?
Go to jail. Yeah, but he won't go to jail if he has all those disorders. He'll end up at a psychiatric hospital for people with violent charges. They won't put him in a regular jail. That's not even part of the it's not even up for discussion.
So is she then a scared for no reason? I think I've worded that and phrased that poorly because I don't want to. Like, I understand her.
I know I get what you're saying. I think the treatment there could be subpar. Maybe a little bit biased here, but I have a family member who just got out after doing a while, and just based on his treatment, and he was a sane person. I can imagine somebody who's not able to articulate their complaints well might receive even worse treatment because human beings, when they're upset, if they feel like they can get away with stuff, sometimes they'll do that. So I don't think her fear is unwarranted, but I feel like trying to let him. He still needs to learn a lesson.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Autistic or not, he has to learn a lesson. So
yeah, I don't know if his ailments stop him from being able to like understand the logic of the situation and stuff like that. I honestly think he might have been escalated to scare him. They threw the 30 years at him to try to scare him straight. I think that's more likely what's going to happen. Because it is kind of weird that he was tried at like 17, and then he's like right on the threshold, I think, where you could send him over to whatever the full-on trial is.
From as an adult?
Yeah.
That means they actually did consider his disorder without even saying it.
So I think Doc has a point. I think, or John has a point where they're probably just trying to scare him, and then the mother's probably like, she's feeling the fear, and now she's trying to do a little bit of damage control. Be like, I don't want this.
Yeah, 30 years, dude. That's his life. Like his entire development cycle is like he's going to come out institutionalized.
I don't think they're trying to put fear in him with the 30 years because that's just the maximum penalty for his crime. It's not necessarily saying that
Okay,
he'll automatically receive
gotcha.
30 years. But I'm
So
just
it's like
saying
going through the motions, like based off this is the max you can receive. Once you go through trial, we'll figure out what you'll actually get.
Oh, and she said the autism doesn't come into play until the very end.
sentencing.
Yeah, then I guess I don't feel, God forgive me, I guess I don't have too much sympathy for her then, because you got to go through the process. Like it's your son did something really, really bad, and now he's got to, like I agree with this statement. He's got to be consequences for your actions. You got to reap the consequences, man. And I'll acknowledge that 30 years is crazy. Should he see jail time? Yeah, to the degree of that jail time. I don't know what, honestly, I don't know the difference between jail and prison. Is prison like a like I honestly generally don't know.
Prison
So I
is
don't know.
long term, jail is not.
Okay, then yeah, then jail time is fine. Then he shouldn't say anything more than that. I my only thing that bothers me is it seems like this kid, this is not finalized yet, so I'm speculating here. I generally don't know, but it seems like this kid is going to receive a lot harsher punishment compared to a lot of other crimes people get charged for, which is wild in my case. I'm not trying to take away the assault that the lady received, but it's wild that this kid is getting, it seems like is getting harsher treatment compared to some, let's say, grape allegations and grape cases. It's like I don't know. Again, y'all know me. I'm a little bit of an anarchist, libertarian worldview. Like screw the system. So I just think the system is so corrupt, so broken that it's wild to me that it stuff like this happens. Like a person who's a rapist gets a lighter sentence than a freaking autistic 17-year-old who, I mean, he did assault the woman, but her face was bruised. Like he didn't break her face or break bones. Like the assault, thank God, was very minimal, and he's gonna get potentially a harsher sentence than a rapist. Like,
We'll say
ah,
too.
I don't know,
So
man.
I will say too to give him a little bit more accountability for what he did. He did not attack anybody else. No matter who got in his way with the lady, you would think if he's just outraged at the moment, right? That he would whoever's stopping him from he'd swing on everybody. He didn't swing on a single other person. In fact, the other people were able to grab him and touch him in ways that he didn't react to. He just kept his focus on trying to get to this lady. Two, he didn't fight with the cops, and he followed the instructions well in that video. He didn't seem to be reprimanded. In fact, in the video, he was sitting down calm. They told him to stand up so they can put the cuffs on him, and he turned around and put his hands around his back to be cuffed. That's not somebody that's,
Disorderly or
you get what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I feel
to
like he
that
made it.
lady,
I feel like he made a split decision. Like he probably was like, "Fuck it, I already did this. I'm gonna commit," and he just kept going at her.
I also wonder if the trigger was as simple as the because I'll be honest with you too, like
That's
I used to
valid.
volunteer sometimes with special needs, and some of those teachers, the way they say, like, they're human, dude. They get frustrated, and that frustration builds. It could be 1 week of it. You give a teacher one difficult week, and then they may come in with their mindset already, like they're expecting bullshit from you. So, like, I wonder if the trigger was just like taking the switch. Was it the switch? Like,
That's a valid point because back in elementary school, fifth grade, we used to have joint classes. Certain subjects, we had the special needs class would come in and have certain interactions with us, and um, I don't remember too much, but one thing I do remember, and it's a vague memory, so take this with a grain of salt, is the teachers that were in charge of them. It was almost like they lacked patience with them. There wasn't a gracefulness they had for those students. It was from an outside perspective as a kid at that age. I felt bad for them because like that's wild that this is the person that's watching over you. Like that sucks.
those
I
houses
don't
all the
know.
way in the back on the right, in the band room, Gene,
I
across from the
remember.
band room, and on top of the gym. Yeah, I remember that class. I remember the two teachers too.
Yeah, it was. So that's, I think it's a valid point you bring up. Like there's probably context to the situation we're not privy to. And I guess the second question or the next question is, it does that even excuse the actions of the students, or should it be a factor in the sentencing?
I don't think it'll be a factor. It's too hard to prove to be like, oh, she bullied him or she like just treated him poorly and stuff like that. The obvious thing to react to is the outright violence. I think the mother, I mean, obviously she's, you know, showing it in public and stuff like that. I think the better argument is misread paperwork, because if that woman, and in some sense, I guess it kind of does back up that argument. But like, if that woman was mistreating him or not treating him properly because of, you know,
Neglect.
neglect for documentation and stuff like that, then that's a whole different issue, and that's something they can actually go with. I mean, you can even sue on grounds of like neglecting to read documentation for a child, and then treating them, you know, or mistreating them.
100%. Because I think that's probably the more likely avenue, is if, like Doc pointed out, if there was documentation, a paper trail that she apparently had, and this teacher who was the teacher that was assaulted, was she new? She was like
She
the
said she
first
was the
year,
new
right?
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
she
So
said that she was the new one.
okay, so if she was the new one, then there might be something there after investigation, if the lawyers do a good job, that maybe she misread paperwork, didn't read paperwork, and just completely inappropriately handled this particular child, which led to this action. And that might actually be a grounds for her to potentially argue for more lenient sentencing. But the fact remains, he did assault her, and there does need to be punishment for the assault. Like, you just can't out here just seeing red and then acting on that rage. Like, you can't be doing that, man.
Yeah. Does autism lead to that? Or I mean, I'm sure they're gonna say it's coupled with whatever that rebellion disorder is, but like,
Well,
It's
so
probably not
I don't.
straight up autism, but it's just social, like it's awkwardness to the social. But I don't think autism is directly. They come off as rude, but I don't think it's directly associated with violence. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
maybe level 6. I don't know what the level. Maybe the level, it has some type of violent connotation to it, but I don't know.
well, here I found the level thing, but it doesn't go up to 6. So I don't know if she meant level 6 autism or like level 6 ADHD. I saw, I'm like, not to be mean to her, but she did start just spewing out a bunch of things, and it was hard for me to keep up with everything she was
There's
listing
also
out.
probably like an internal metric. Like maybe the school district has like its own metric to
That's
weigh
that's fair
disability.
too. But based off what I found here on veryhealthy.com, the 3 functional levels of autism, you have level 1, or maybe there's 3 functional and 3 unfunctional, which where
Functional.
you get to level 6. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know where that is, if that's the case, but I'll read off these at the very least. So you got level 1, which is requiring support. Difficulty initiating social interactions, organization, and planning problems can hamper independence. Level 2 is requiring substantial support. Social interactions limited to narrow special interests, frequent, restricted, and repetitive behaviors. And you got level 3, which is requiring very substantial support, severe deficits in verbal and nonverbal social communication skills, great distress, difficulty changing actions or focus. Yeah, I'm not honestly sure what all this. It just seems like more like a social issues and how do you express yourself kind of thing.
Even apart from like, I won't say apart from being smart, if we just focus on the boy, if his if the things he are getting if the things he's dealing with are extreme, then it seems like a way for him to learn a lesson should be extreme as well. So like, I'm not saying he deserves prison time, but he do need to see be behind bars. Like he need to see what that feel like. He need to see an extreme consequence for an action. Because like he may be autistic, but he can articulate consequences for actions. You know what I'm saying? Like if he ain't ever just he plays that switch, right? He probably gets angry playing the switch if he's losing the game. He don't
Mm.
just smash the switch, do we? No, because he knows if he smashes the switch, he can't play it no more. So like he knows he can obviously understand the concept between consequences and action. So
All right. So Miss Chrissy said, "Does this school not have a SPED department? As far as I was aware, paraprofessionals and specific classes are in place to prevent situations like this. Not at all to take away from the severe beating this woman endured, but a genuine question." I don't know the answer to that
great
question, to be honest
question.
with you. I would assume so, if that was maybe that was the teacher's role. I'm not sure that they didn't specify it, but I don't know.
Quick question.
Yeah,
for people.
if he's level 3, then he would be in sped, I would assume, because he can't really interact and needs somebody to interact for him. So he probably should have been in that. So that, I mean, if in the future we find out that the mother is lying, then that would be the answer to that. But we'd have to see the paper trail. Like honestly, like just watching the video, I was just like, all right, if I was a lawyer, I'd be like, okay, let's pull out the paper trail, let's wipe that out first, and then because if we kill that argument, then there's nothing for it to go on, and the child is just, has to be punished.
Yeah. Last point that let's move on is I don't like this direction we're going, and I feel like we've been going this direction for a long time when it comes to people trying to utilize, I'll say traumas, or maybe disorders. I don't know what's a more fair word to use or characterization, but I don't like this road where people are using their traumas and disorders to, in my opinion, completely negate all form of consequences or responsibility for your actions. Like you did X, but I'm Y, so therefore I'm Y. I can't be held responsible for X. It's like no. You still did X. Doesn't matter if you're Y. You did X, so because you did X, you need to suffer X consequences. And then we'll feel like whether or not the Y should alleviate a level of the consequences, but you're still relieving consequences. There's this sentiment where people feel like I don't need to suffer any consequence, like I should be forgiven flat out, or like a whole monotony of mercy or something like that.
Back to one of our old conversations we had where I was like, to put it in simple terms, if somebody slaps me and I slap them back, they did not force me to slap them. They did not make me slap them. They made me angry. I chose to slap them. Like, these are like, whether we want to admit to it or not, everybody's actions, yeah, you can be triggered in a sense and immediately react, but there's a thought process, even a quick thought process before you do anything. So to your point, like you can't say, "Oh, this happened," and that's context for the situation. So I appreciate the context, but you chose to do whatever you chose to do.
I just think it's a dangerous road we're going down, and that's another factor, in my opinion, why I think our justice system is kind of wonky. Is because we're trying to add all these nuances to alleviate responsibility, but it's like no, like we can try to have some level of compassion for it, but you're still gonna get repercussions for your actions, consequences. Like there are still consequences, and I
That's your
just
question. So, do you think these two scenarios get the same reaction? Trans person being misgendered and hitting, or hitting somebody, or a straight person being, I guess, hit on or sexually approached by a transgender and then them hitting them. Do you think those two get the same response, or do you think the transgender getting misgendered would be seen as the more offensive?
they do not get the same response. The misgender would get the harsher response. No. The misgender would get the more lenient response, and then the hetero getting hit on would get the harsher response. Yes, yeah.
Do you think it's justified, or do you think they should get the same reaction?
I don't think so.
Yes. No, I think so. Yeah.
Like, what do you mean by the same reaction? Like, they should both divulge to
Rage,
a
like
hit
the
or something like
same,
that?
yeah,
They
like the
both
same.
resulted in assault. So because they both
They both
resulted in
resort,
assault,
yeah.
they both should get, let's say, just for sake of argument, 10 years in prison. But John's point, or at least
Oh, I see what you're saying.
he didn't say this point, so this is I guess my opinion, is the transgender who assaulted because they're misgendered would get, let's say, 5 years, whereas the heterosexual assaulted because he was inappropriately hit on or touched or whatever would get 10 years. They're both assault. The reason for the assault doesn't matter, but one is getting treated differently than the other. I 100% think that is the case in our current culture, yes.
I think it's more granular than that. I think it depends where it happens. Like if this happens in
That's fair.
San Francisco, or if this happens in fucking I
Texas.
don't know,
Texas.
Texarkana or something like that. It's gonna lean one way or the other. And
That's
then
fair.
I also think the severity of it. Like, how many times have you misgendered this person? How
Does
aggressive?
that matter?
Well, if the person like, I mean, if they're respectable, I think like if they respect you and they're treating you kindly, and I think like at a certain point it's like cool, like even if it's just to humor them, like yeah, give them whatever they want to hear. Like why? Outside of just to fight them or just to have your justice bone like go off, like there's no point to really just kind of deal with it like that. But like if you have somebody who aggressively hits on you, like they just cup your nuts or something like that and go for it, like that's a fight. You know what I mean? Like so there's like levels of severity, like because if you've never met this person and you misgender them and it's like, oh fuck, my bad, like whatever, I guess, like you know what I mean? Like the person shouldn't hit you for that. But if you've worked with them for 2 years and you keep fucking misgendering them, then at some point, like the buildup has just happened and they just hit you. Like that's kind of a little different. Like,
so I guess then the other, I mean, I'll let the topic go, but then I guess it's important to ask them: is the context important prior to sentencing them? I think, I almost think like in some court cases, right? They won't allow certain evidence to be viewed because they'll say it doesn't pertain to the case, or it shouldn't pertain. It shouldn't skew the juror's mind. Do you think the context of that should be brought in before the charges are made so that the charges have the context in them? Or do you believe the sentencing is the part that needs the context? Because I think the charges should have the context. But then that makes somebody the judge.
Well, they kind of are. It's just what we're arguing is when should they become a factor based off what we know from our limited understanding, because obviously we're not lawyers or anything like that. It happens at the end. So the argument is should they happen at the beginning or at the end? Right now it's at the end. Should we change it to at the beginning? I don't really have an answer to that question. I don't know. Having it at the beginning makes sense, but also having it at the end makes sense too. So I generally don't know which one is better.
Yeah, I agree.
But but it does make sense because I get what Doc's saying in his example of if I just met you and I misgendered you and I've known you for 2 years and I misgendered you, it there is a little more what's the word, like it makes sense for the reaction, but it doesn't justify the reaction. I guess that's what I'm having my disconnect in. Like just because I knew you and I misgendered you, it still doesn't give you the right to hit me. And even if I don't know you and I misgendered you, it still doesn't give you the right to hit me. Like in both those scenarios, you should get 10 years in prison. And I'm not saying they should. I mean, like for the sake of argument,
yeah,
like whatever,
like there should
whatever.
still be a consequence.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. Like going to a strike. I guess for me the hit on, like in the opposite one, it just depends also how aggressive, like I said, like if it's like a full-on grope or something like that, like they shove their hand down your pants or something like that kind of warrants a different reaction altogether as well. But I mean, I think for both genders, like if that would warrant a strong reaction.
All right, let's get away from this topic and let's move on to some racism. Yay! More racism in America.
I promise I didn't pick this topic, though.
What'd you say?
I promise I didn't pick this topic, though. I was
Man, I
them
saw
taking
what you
all the
sent.
racist,
I saw what you sent
topics.
me on Twitter, bro. I was not about to talk about that. the Caribbean parties. I saw that. I was like, John, you're tripping. Why'd you send me this?
I said the world is about to end, bro.
Yeah, you did say that. I'm not gonna.
The
Yeah,
world is about to end. That type of thing should not exist.
Maybe we'll talk
You
about it
remember
when
middle
like
school? How innocent we were. We were just trying to.
just a simple left right. You know, just
Trying to go left, right, goddamn. That was
now
a
they're
mad thing.
maybe Fake Thinking After Dark. We'll talk about that topic. Another one of our After Dark Fake Thinking episodes. All right, so if y'all have not heard about the controversy going around the internet when it comes to this Kansas City Chiefs fan, let's get into it. So a 9-year-old Chiefs fan branded a racist by Deadspin reporter admits he's nervous about attention. Dad says it's too late for apology. So the 9-year-old football fan who attracted the ire of a Deadspin reporter for wearing a headdress and painting his face for a Sunday night Kansas. Well, first, Ian, scroll down. Let's actually look at the. So here's the kid. Here's the face paint he's wearing. And then I don't know if there's go down a little bit, and there's the headdress he's wearing. All right, boom. Let's go back up now. Holden Armenta's Chief fandom caused a stir after Karen Phillips, a senior writer for the Sports Outlet, accused the boy on Monday of finding, quote, a way to hate black people and the Native Americans at the same time, and showing up in blackface to primetime NFL game. Holden had painted his face in red and black, two of the Chiefs' favorite Chiefs' four team colors. I don't know how I got favorite out of that. Four team colors. But Phillips fixated on a photo showing only the black side of the youngster's visage, and his column went viral. It's okay because a lot of kids at school are getting excited, but it's starting to get me a little nervous because if they go a little bit overboard, it's a little scary. Holden told Fox News host Jesse Waters in his first public remarks since Phillips accused him of doubling up on racism. The boy's father, Bubba Armenta, told Waters that his son was initially excited that his outfit got him on the Arrowhead Stadium Jumbotron, but that it's been a little bit of a spiral since the Deadspin column was published. It's been a lot. It's been a pretty crazy couple of days. I was mad, upset for him. I'm mad that he's upset. He's pretty devastated. I mean, he's seen the videos and everything posted. It was his dream to get on the Jumbotron. I've had family and friends call and say, "Oh, we saw you on Sunday Night Football." So he's excited. But then everything else came up. When asked by Waters if he wants an apology from Phillips, Bubba said, "It's a little too late for that." I agree. The damage is already done. It's, worldwide. Now there's comments all over. There's, disrespect towards Native Americans and towards my family. We never in any way, shape, or form meant to disrespect any Native Americans or any tribes. It's a 9-year-old boy supporting his team. I don't think I need to read any more. We basically get the context of what's going on here. I'll ask you guys real quick if y'all want to. I did pull up. I got Ian ready with it. The actual Deadspin article. If you guys want to go through that, yes or no?
Does the Deadspin article basically accuse the boy of blackface?
I haven't read through it, to be honest with you, so I'm going to assume yes based off the allegations. But we can do a quick summary, and I can. All right, let me do a quick summary. Then pull up that article, Ian. All right, here we go. Deadspin. The NFL needs to speak out against the Kansas City Chiefs fan in blackface, native headdress.
Okay, that's enough.
That's enough, he said. Okay, boom.
I'm just
Oh, there's an update.
The update's just saying, the update November 3rd, the Santa Ynez Band of Choctaw Indians, whom the fans and his family are affiliated with, have released a statement condemning the wearing regalia as part of a costume or participating in any other type of cultural appropriation. So it's just that's the update.
At one, I'm gonna be really honest with you here. I'm probably gonna take a whole approach y'all don't like. This dad is a dickhead. I can tell his dad is an asshole, and his dad used his son to get a point across. I don't think he meant it to go this big. I don't think he meant it to be like a thing where he has to actually go on the news and talk to people. But I can tell you everything about his dad already based off weight. And for his dad not to be, first off, it wasn't blackface. Let's get that out the window.
I was
It
about to
wasn't
say, let's take
blackface.
a pause real quick and I ask the question, like, do you think this is blackface?
No, it's not blackface. But
Doc, hold on,
this
Doc.
little boy finna get the
Oh,
Chiefs
I'm saying
name
no. I'm
changed.
just nodding.
He gonna get the Chiefs name changed. He keep fucking around. All right, you're making the spot hot. They had the what are they? The Washington Commanders. The Redskins already gone out of here. Now the Braves have been having this little thing going on for years now. Now you have the Chiefs. The Chiefs, technically speaking, isn't specific to a Native American, but I guess the Native Americans in the area spoke out. I do believe it's tacky to where now that I know how they view it, I do believe it's tacky to wear the regalia um to sports events. But he's a kid. I just blame the dad. Like, also, if the kid just wanted to dress up, I don't blame the dad completely. I take back a little bit because,
No,
like, if the kid
well,
approaches me and he's
I
like,
think it's a
"Ah,
valid
dad, I
point
want
to
to."
blame the dad because apparently it's known that Chiefs actually banned the regalia. Like, you're not allowed to wear that regalia because
Oh,
of
did they?
like
We back
controversy.
on his ass.
So yeah, that's why I think it's
Uh,
valid to blame the dad. So I think there's validity to John's point that the dad. I don't know. I won't go as far as say an asshole,
No,
but
he's an asshole.
like
Look at the picture.
he was being
Look at the
defiant.
picture.
Like
Look at
what
the
picture? The
picture.
dad.
He's sitting there with his son like an asshole. That's what he's doing. He's sitting there looking like an asshole. Why? Because he knew better. Why? Because he's not a dumb person. He knew exactly. He wanted that. Some people actually try and piss people off.
I agree with that. Some people do try to piss people off. I do it to my girlfriend all the time. I'm not gonna lie. It's a thing.
I don't think this was the son is innocent. I don't think on the father's behalf this was ignorance. If he's a Chiefs fan, he's been to the games before. He knows the rules. He thought if it's a little boy, they should just let it slide. If it's a little boy, no, the rules were the rules. And you try to use your son to prove a point against a rule, whether it be internally or amongst your friends or amongst your small community or whatever it is. You were
Trying to be
trying
a
to prove
rebel.
a point.
Yeah.
You're trying to, yeah, you might have a what is it? Obsessive disobedience, something disorder.
Yeah.
But the thing though is the out from my ignorant understanding of the situation, the backlash wasn't necessarily because of the regalia. That was a subsequent add-on. The big thing was, and he said it right there in the title of the article, blackface. And then at the bottom of it, he says native headdress. Let's add that in there. He was more upset about the alleged blackface, which I think is the more crazy part. That this man saw half of black, just blackface period, just black paint period, and immediately associated the black paint to him trying to do blackface. I think that's the ridiculous part in our culture, is just because someone has black paint on their face, instantly they're trying to do blackface. I honestly, and maybe John, you can enlighten me here, I honestly think there's a difference between putting black paint on my face and trying to do blackface. There's such a
100%
difference.
there's a
And I
difference. And to your point, his blackface wasn't signifying skin color, it was signifying war paint because you're going to war. So even a Native American would have put paint on their face. So it wasn't necessarily you're not when you're talking about blackface, you're talking about mimicking somebody's skin. The color on his face wasn't to mimic the skin. His hands weren't painted. The rest of his body wasn't painted. His neck wasn't painted. It was just his face that I saw. So to me, he was trying to
Yeah.
reenact a Native American going to war.
He was also two
Or
colors. I'm pretty sure like his dad was
it was
like,
red.
"Oh, whoa." He was like, "Well, we can't do this part." Like, I mean,
Let's put a
his
little
dad
red
stopped
line
that.
right
Like,
here.
yeah, his dad probably saw that line when it was happening. He decided not to cross it
It
because he
just seems
understood
like
the consequence for that. What do you say?
it just seems like there's enough in the situation for the. It seems like there's a lot of little ways to weasel out of the real prob the real problem with what the dad did with the son, and I feel like it's all done on purpose. Like to Doc's point, the red line almost seems strategic at that point now, where it's like they can't say it's blackface if we goddamn boom boom. But also, if you're a real reporter and you're reporting on sports, bro, there's no way you. I can tell you the person who reported on that kid does not watch football
yes,
because there's
that's a
no way possible. First off, why would I do blackface if I want to be a Native American? Makes no sense. Wouldn't I use a brown or another color? Like, why would I use the color black to associate myself with Native American? And then he used it as a clickbait. So this is just one guy's opinion, really. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who've seen the article, didn't really look into what was going on, and therefore are influenced by that guy's opinion and sharing the same opinion. But I
Well,
would say those people just don't know enough about a situation.
I also want to add that this is Geo Media. So I used to actually read Geo Media's like blog sites a lot. I started off reading Kotaku, which is like the gamer version, and then every now and then they would hint towards Deadspin, and I think they have other ones, like they have like the Onion or something like that. I actually stopped reading them because it all turned into sensationalism. Like everything. I remember the last article I read that I was just like, bro, I hadn't even thought of this, but it was like, um, it was like Elden Ring is bad because there's not enough black hair options or something like that. It's not a perfect. It shouldn't be a 10/10 because there aren't enough black hair options or something like that. And I remember I was like, I didn't even consider that as a thing to be upset about with this game. Like, so it kind of divulged into more articles of like inciting, like looking for racism where it might not be, or inciting anger in situations for clicks, because they went from having like a stable publisher to being bought. I think it was bought by Geo Media, and they went straight to a form of profiteering.
diversity, equity, and inclusion.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't necessarily that. Like, it's definitely that angle because it's the safe angle, but it's like the they went to some profit model where basically they only make their money if they get enough viewers or enough clicks and stuff like that. So after that, they divulged into pure sensationalism, where it was just like, we need people to click on this article, so we're just gonna put crazy clickbait headlines, and we're just gonna like look for problems where there aren't necessarily problems.
Can you
And
imagine how toxic that workspace is?
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's either just like an echo
That
chamber
place?
or if extremely
So
toxic.
many
Yeah.
landmines. You don't even know how
Yeah.
to walk or
Oh,
navigate because you don't know if you're gonna step on someone's
oh,
feet. You can't even say
it'd be
hi because you
so
might say
bad.
hi the wrong way.
Did you see how he said hi to me with 2 eyes instead of 1?
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like this is wild. Like
Oh,
it goes back to how I prefaced in the first topic about we're cultivating this culture. I should have worn my defund the media shirt for this topic, honestly. But we're cultivating this culture where everyone's trying to look for a way to either be mad or justify their anger. Or like I don't know. It's weird. Like the fact that this man saw this child, instantly saw blackface and racism is so like he needs to go to special needs. He has autism or something. Like that guy has a mental illness in itself. Like, why are we letting these reporters
he's
who
on
have
autism.
genuine mental illnesses, in my opinion, that's a
Yeah,
mental illness. If you're able to see racism in any situation, you have mental illness. He
it's
should
not
not have a job
autism,
as a reporter. He's
Down
got
syndrome.
something, bro. I don't know, like
It's greed,
I don't
bro.
know.
They're trying to make money, and they're just trying to flare up people. And then
It's
what was it? There was another article I saw too. They Nintendo banned them because they told people it was better uh to pirate one of the video games, and so they banned them. And then they had to like pirate clips of the new Zelda that came out like a year ago or a few months ago. And Nintendo was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're still banned. And like, so honestly, like that media company has no integrity, man. So I wouldn't trust anything they say.
It's
And
fun.
Geo Media is not where it's at all.
But that's the problem, though, and because this is where I guess my extreme views start to reveal themselves a little bit too much. Is I think all media has no integrity, and just because it's a whatever you said, doesn't take away from, in my opinion, that fact. Like, what news media company can you literally name and confidently say they have integrity?
I more
There
so
shouldn't
look
even be people
towards
talking. It'd be a PowerPoint
well, I look towards
with facts on it.
independent medias a lot, and
That's
but
fair. But they're
with
not news, the mainstream media. Like when it comes to mainstream media, what mainstream big name who's established media company that's not independent has integrity? In my opinion, none. Not even Fox News, not even like in that spectrum, if that's a decent spectrum to get your head around, none of them.
yeah, I definitely
None of
think they get too big at a certain point where there's too much influence from too many angles. Um, but I don't know if you can avoid that in any business.
that's fair. I would like to. This is where I guess my hopefulness, in my opinion, I call it naivety, comes out, and I would like to think there's a way. I don't know how, because at the end of the day, like you said, you got to make money. Greed starts becoming comes into play, and guess what? These companies found out when it
Testing
comes
as
to the
moral
algorithm.
capitalism.
I would like to think so, but in this day and age, it's not profitable.
The only reason I say that is because that's like really sincerely the only way that like everybody just has to be good morally, and then like the rest will come, and the rest will take care of itself. But
Well,
like good
it's
business will be good business. I'm
the
talking about
problem with
if I'm saying if in a dream scenario, the only way for society to avoid those types of pitfalls would be if generally we weren't human because we just wouldn't have that part of our be like we have to be sincerely good people all the time and do good business all the time. So like, yeah, it's just not possible, I don't think, to
But
avoid.
that's the problem, though. You already said it. Like the problem is to have a moral company or moral capitalism, moral anything, you have to agree on that morality. And the problem is we don't agree on morality. We have so many different versions of morality in America alone. Like the alphabet community has a different set of morals. Christians have a different set of morals. Muslims have a different set of morals. Atheists have a different set of morals. Like, so it's extremely difficult to come to a consensus on what is morally okay when it comes to business, social interactions, just anything. And I think that's a problem. 100% think that's a problem.
I think that's a way harder problem to solve than anything. I mean, at that point, you're asking like, what's the unifying integrity that everyone can at least rely on? And
That's fair. That's
yeah.
very fair. I don't know how you would try to solve for that. Obviously, the immediate answer, I'm not saying it's the correct answer, is you got to force everybody under the same belief system. Obviously, that's not
Not
going to
even
work because
force.
that's tyrannical or dictatorship. But like, if you leave people up to free will, they're going to choose their own way. And as we're seeing with America in these past couple decades, everyone's wants to be whatever they want to be it a unicorn or a super straight male. Like,
And it's funny you say that because essentially that's what people are trying to do. When now that you think about it, when you're elected official, technically speaking, you're 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 voting one way, you're stopping a specific group or minority of, I don't want to say expressing their opinion, but like not going about things the way that they want to go with them. But the problem is the person that we elect has to actually uphold those morals. Because to your point, it can't be everybody involved and then we all agree on morality of something. It literally have to be a dictatorship where the person took the choice out of our hands, but they just happen to have good morals. Like
see,
it couldn't be.
I feel like
Go ahead.
for countries that are still in dictatorships or communist like countries, that's kind of like the hope that the person in charge has like the greater good for humanity in their minds and stuff like that. And I think Americans are just like, we just don't want it. Like, we'd rather deal with the chaos than hope that this time around this guy's got our intentions in mind. Because what happens when the one guy that shows up that doesn't? Like, it's just like he can't.
but that's
Or go on, Jing.
well, I'm gonna be a little arrogant here, or kind of not. Yeah, I think it's arrogance. I think it's incredibly stupid that in America specifically that we vote assuming that this person represents my morality. I think that is so stupid. Where I'm not voting for this person because I think they align with my morals. I didn't vote for Trump because I thought him and I were morally the same. I think Trump is a terrible human being. Cheated on his pregnant wife. That is detestable. I voted for Trump because I liked his policies and what he wanted to implement. And that's why I think people are misguided when it comes to, specifically in this context
think,
conversation, when it comes to
I'll be honest
voting.
with you.
You're
I
never
agree with
going to
you.
get someone who aligns with you on everything morally. It's impossible. So to vote for someone because you think they're the same morality as you is stupid. And people vote because what they want is, I want them to prevent these group of people to not enact their moral ideals, which is
But Gene, you
also
gotta be
wrong and
careful.
stupid.
Gene, you gotta be careful. I agree with you, right? But I can't call them stupid because
I came from an arrogant place. I said, I'm going to come from an arrogant place saying this
no,
because
no, no. The reason I can't call them stupid is because there's no way for that to not be included in anybody's
that's
vote.
fair.
Because
That's
even you,
very
for
fair.
example, even you just now, you said you voted on his policies, right? You're hoping that he's going to say what he's going to do what he said too. So
Yes.
morally, you're hoping that he's a person of his word. So at
Fair.
some point in your argument, you have to consider the person's. You have to. I don't want to say consider them
Integrity?
good. But
Like
yes,
integrity?
boom, integrity, boom. You got to consider they have some integrity. So I guess it's just a weird space. Is how much of that do you let that factor into? Because some people, that's all they care about. They'll defend a president's integrity versus their policies. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Like
so I get what you're saying,
Obama?
and I agree.
Like
Yeah,
Biden? Sorry, I'm leaking
yeah,
a
I
little bit. I'm sorry.
agree.
I'll pull
So
back. I'm leaking a little bit.
he could have legalized weed, but so I I agree with you. I just don't think it's possible to not. I think the one thing that I guess governments or media outlets uh, address is that before anything, human beings actually prefer entertainment than anything, and or not entertainment, but like some sort of
Escapism.
like, yeah. So like all this shit that we're doing or whatever, there's some sort of acting or some sort of appeal to a certain part of us. It's all because that's just what we are. We don't like peace. We don't like
Or tribalism. I think it's an
Yeah.
appeal to our tribalistic nature because, to the point of this whole moral thing, because we all have different foundations of morality, we tend to group ourselves. And when you highlight this moral divide, this moral fight, whatever have you, it strengthens that animosity. And I think that's exactly what everything's doing to our economy, our capitalist economy, the businesses, to our media, how we get our news and how we get our entertainment. Like everything is inundated with people trying to, in my opinion, push some level of moral agenda. This is how people should morally be. So let me put some kind of messaging in there to get that across. And it's, I
Well,
don't,
let me ask you this. So, not like the moral agenda idea thing. Like, take that out of the equation. Just the chaos of all of the different groups hitting each other and bouncing back each other, within our nation. Do you consider that to be the source of our ingenuity, our innovation, our creativity? Because I've seen
No.
like other countries say that like they value America's creativity because we're always coming up with something new. We're always coming up with different things. Do you think that doesn't come from the fact that we are constantly colliding with each other?
no.
It does. I do. I think so. I
I think it
we're not.
does too, man. I think
I think we're the
Gene
quickest.
being mad with the left wing news drives him to make the right wing news or the middle, his version of the news or his company of the news that he wants to have be the integral news. I think that's what drives you to do that. And I think, yeah,
That's
you do
fair.
have
Actually, I think you're right. Okay, you change
We
my
like
mind.
to
I
eat
think
each
that's fair.
other. We're the quickest anti-culture.
It
No
comes down
matter
to
that's actually
what.
true. Yeah.
confrontation. We had this topic about it. Like confrontation itself isn't bad. There's a healthy way to go about it. And the problem is we haven't cultivated healthy confrontation. So that's why we're in this murky area right now in our culture, is because we haven't cultivated
Also, too,
healthy confrontation. And confrontation isn't bad.
I do agree
so
with that
back,
too. Yeah.
so back to your question then, like, do you want your leader to be personable or do you care? Because if that's the case, then
What
like
was that word? Personable?
Personable.
personable.
Personable. Okay.
Because if that's the real truth of the matter, then an election could be blind and they could just post president option A and option B's policies, and then we could go based off that.
I
It's an
think
interesting
Because like
question.
it's funny that you guys were talking about that because I was thinking about the same thing and I came to the conclusion that there's two sides of the extremes. Like there's two personable and shitty policies, and then there's two great of policies and not personable at all. Like if you have somebody who passes amazing policies and then at some point, this is just like a super far off extreme, they're impersonable to the point that they murder somebody while in office. Like you can't argue against that. Like
I
they're
don't know if
even
that's impersonable. I think it's just like if someone who has good policies, but they can't even speak publicly. Like they can't get behind a mic and give a speech.
yeah, like to a point where like they can't rally the people or anything like
Yeah,
that. Like they have no influence.
yeah,
That they're eventually going to get kicked out by somebody who can, and that's I
yeah.
feel like we oscillate between that a lot.
I agree with
what
that.
that means, it means the presidential position is supposed to be split in two. It means that's not even a real thing. Like that's not
It's,
even something we can expect from a human being. Because honestly speaking, the person that's best for the one job is never going to be the person that's best for the other job. So we're always going to be settling on one front. So that, I mean, it was your answer to the question that even led me on this path. But like, I've got my mind made up pretty much now. Like, the right person will never be president because you can't be both.
well,
I
You'll
the
think
always
issue
that
be
also is the
settling on one
president
front.
was supposed to be as powerful as they were, and like president is pseudo facto king, and that was never supposed to be the case.
Hmm.
The president was never supposed to hold as much power as the president today holds. Like it
Too
yeah,
many
like
hats.
you said too many what?
He's wearing too many hats.
Too many hats, exactly. Like, and that's again my problem. Not, I know we try to throw the morality thing out, and I'm not trying to like rehash it, but again, I guess my problem with this is we vote based off who represents my morals the best, and I think that is such the wrong way to go about it. And I understand Doc is valid with his spectrum thing he pointed out, which was too much morals and no policy, and no too much policy no morals, or integrity, whatever you want to say. I think that's valid because obviously, like y'all know, John's joke about too much logic. Obviously, amongst our circle of friends, I'm the one who comes across with too much logic, not enough, I guess, empathy, maybe if that's the right way to characterize it. And I understand sometimes that can be a little bit
Because Gene, you the most empathic person I know.
This guy.
Gene be crying, bro. Like Gene be like he be feeling for people for real.
Only on TV shows and movies. If it's out in the real world, bro, I'm shrugging it off. Like that's my problem. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have a switch, and I'm able to control that switch. If it's real world, I don't really have any empathy for you. But if it's a movie or a show, I'm allowing myself to feel what you want me to feel. Like you guys know this about me. If you want me to feel an emotion, my walls go up instantly. Why do you want me to feel something? But instantly, like it's in my mind manipulation. Like you shouldn't try to get me to understand your point by making me feel a certain way. Instantly, my walls go up, my empathy goes down. Like I'm not my sympathy, empathy, it all goes down the hill. But if I'm watching a TV show, you're telling me a story or something like a book, I'm allowing myself to feel these emotions because it's a freaking movie, it's a show, it's a story. Like I don't care. Maybe that's wrong of me to admit, but like I'm trying to be honest and real. Like when it comes to, I've been
Always
with you in
aware of
public.
it.
You and me have been in some situations where I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't very empathic in those situations.
I'm not gonna lie, one of the first few like weeks I hung out with Gene, I remember we were watching a movie. I looked over and I was like, "Damn, is he really crying?"
Yes.
Like, damn,
And
he's
Gene gonna
just
cry
letting
like
it
this
out,
too.
dude.
Gene
I'm
gonna
like,
cry
damn,
like
he's letting
this
it out,
too.
man.
Hand.
I think we were watching Fury, and Fury's a fucking heavy movie though. Like to be real, Fury's fucking heavy. I think I only made it like the first half of that tear
And to know
jerking.
that
Towards the
Gene
get to
does
the end, I
that
was like, damn, all right.
and then walks out the house and says, "Fuck y'all," is crazy.
Yeah.
I think the best image is what Doc just put out, me watching Fury and me crying probably during the ending scenes where like they all pretty much, I don't want to spoil, but die, and that shit's sad, bro. Like that movie is sad. And then me being out with John and some friends in Atlanta nightclub, and the guy had either too much to drink or had some extra substances, I don't know, and he starts collapsing on me, and I just shrug him down, let him fall to the floor. Like, nah, I don't know you, bro. I don't know you, bro.
Man.
Good luck, my guy. I don't know you. That's not my problem.
I remember that Gene's shoulder caught the sleepness. Just his shoulder just got weak all of a sudden.
He literally collapsed on me, and I was like, I don't fucking know you, bro. I just like did one of these 100% and walked away from the situation. Like, I don't know you. God forgive
Oh
me. I
man,
know that.
that's so
I
real.
know that's probably wrong of me. I know God for me to have a deep talk to me about that sentiment that's in me. But yeah, that's a
Yeah,
perfect.
Gene, that was me. Jesus. Do you have a splint on your finger?
No, I had this thing on my finger. It's a little thing.
Oh, that's what's been throwing me off. I'm like, yo, is his finger messed up?
Nah,
My
fidgeting.
bad.
But so back to my point, I was kind of got on a tangent there. But that's why I understand I'm a little bit like I'm aware of my, I guess, disconnect or bias, and the reason why I don't excuse it as much is because I think right now our culture is too much on the other side of the spectrum. Like we're not anywhere near the middle. At John's point, we do this back and forth thing too much. I biasly think we gotta back forth the other way, but I also acknowledge that the answer is in the middle somewhere, and I don't know how we get there.
I remember the first time. And the best way to describe it is Gene is always aware of the other conversation being had outside the actual conversation that you're having. And I remember kind of like, I don't want to say the first time, like it just happened, but like, I remember when it started, like, Gene started like paying more attention to it. Now, Gene is 80% that conversation and 20% whatever the fuck you talking to me about. Like immediately approach him. Hey, Gene, you want to hear a sad story? Why? Why would you want me to listen to a sad? You want me to cry? Why? Why you want me to be sad? Fucking tear assassin. That's what you are. No, that shit's funny as hell, dog. Gene leave out their crib and say fuck everybody, but be in the crib crying.
It's the stories, man. You need, Gene. I guess you just need the context, man. Let yourself get into
I
the
just don't
stories.
trust people. That's my cynicism. I just don't trust people. That's
I mean,
You
something
see
I
a
gotta work
homeless
on with.
person.
I mean,
Gene
fair
see a
enough. When
homeless
you're
person
in it,
and be like, do
it's
better.
harder.
Gene see a homeless
How
person
can
and
it be
be like,
that bad?
get a job, fix yourself, you're
Oh
dirty.
man.
And then go watch a movie about a homeless nigga and cry. That's crazy.
That's dramatic. I'm not that extreme. That's dramatic as hell.
That would be so funny though. Oh my gosh. Yo, get a job. You go turn on this movie about this whole, oh my god.
Man.
Eugene has more empathy than me when it comes to a lot, to be honest with you. A lot. I don't care about a lot of things. But
Well, I think there's a difference between caring for something and having empathy for something. Like I'll agree to that. Like I care about more certain things than you do, but you will have more empathy for the topics you're willing to engage in than I would.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah. It's most of the time, I think it's anytime there's a position of something like big versus little, uh, I'll normally become like open to hearing or listening to it, in a sincere way. Just because, it's big versus little. I just hate big things picking on little things. Hate it with my whole heart. So that normally gets me. Other than that.
And then we got Doc on the other side of the spectrum who's nothing but empathy. No, I'm kidding.
I don't actually know that, man.
No.
You guys are talking about it. I was like, I don't know where I land on that
Doc's
stuff.
pretty cold-hearted when it
No,
comes to
Doc is.
certain
I was
things.
talking shit. I've interacted with Doc. Trust me, I've seen Doc in some settings where he's fucking cold. Like Doc's not as empathetic as he might think he is. Doc's closer
What
to me probably.
100%. Because I'm put it like this: put Doc in a room with 5 unborn babies.
I don't know what I'll do.
He said 5. He got 5 abortions. That's what Doc
Right,
said.
Dirty Rule 5, Doc. Remember, you got that Rule
Yeah.
5.
Yeah,
We'll
5
see.
abortions.
We'll see how committed you are to that rule.
Doc said,
Yeah.
"Fuck them kids," but
I probably
I
am a
know,
little
like,
oblivious to things that aren't happening right in front of me. I'm just like, out of sight, out of mind. I probably give into that a bit too much.
5
Man.
I think
abortions.
that's fair. I think that's accurate. Yeah, I think
hard.
that's agreed.
I think as
You
I
like
gotten
to-
older, I'm just growing more empathy just because, you get older, you get tired. And you understand, like, you kind of pity people that came before you when they were telling you stuff or whatever it is. So I have more empathy now for sure than when I was younger. And I'm also moving at a slower pace. I'm not so wrapped up in what I'm doing.
World's crazy, man. Just the message John sent me earlier about a video that we'll talk about later. World's coming
It's
to an end.
crazy.
My exact words was, "The world is moving back."
Yeah, that's true. His exact words
100%.
were, "The world is moving backwards," and I 100% agree with that sentiment, in my opinion. All right, any last takes on these topics or this one particular topic?
Nope, I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. Honestly, I haven't eaten all day.
The only thing I had in my mind is like, John was talking about the 2 components to a leader or leadership, I guess. And at that point, it kind of made me think like maybe I should, moving forward, analyze both the administration, because that's really what's going to push the policies, and then the personableness of the person that's going up, and kind of compare them both. Because I mean, as far as like news marketing goes, they just kind of put everything all in one within the president, and they try to sell him or her the most. And I think really you need to view both to have an accurate like reading.
That's
It was
fair.
you that actually made me think of it. I was just using you as like a
Piggyback.
sounding board.
Yeah. All right, that's enough fake deep thinking for today. Thank you all for tuning in, listen to our rambles. If you haven't liked the video, please like the video, show us some love. If you haven't commented, leave a comment, let us know your opinions, because we welcome it, because obviously we don't want to be in our own bubble. We like to understand what y'all are thinking, because it's interesting and it helps get the conversation rolling. And as Doc has said, it helps us to actually progress, evolve, and grow. Also, share the video. Let's get more people in here and a part of this discussion, because like I just prefaced, conversations with differing views are fun. They're fun. They're fun. It may be contentious at times, but if you can navigate that contentiousness, then it's a fun conversation. You've hopefully learned something, or at least understand how to tackle that particular topic, or in a different angle. It's fun. We will see y'all next time on Fake Deep Thinking. Peace.
Yo, thanks for making it to the end. We really appreciate it, and hope you all enjoyed the show.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button, and the notification bell to get notified when we post our clips.
Follow us on Twitter at PodcastFDT. Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok are all Fake Deep Thinking. Check us out.
Police.
FDT. Peace, y'all.
Peace.